big 2026. Why are people still caping for Joe Jackson? I don't understand it. And it's not just Joe Jackson. People are caping for abusive parents in general with so many things that don't make sense to me. Maybe because I didn't come from an abusive household and I was still able to learn right from wrong. I was still able to be disciplined correctly without getting beaten every night. But I'm going to set that to the side for later. This is about Joe Jackson. The other day, I posted a video where I described the differences of managing styles between New Edition's Brooke Payne and Joe Jackson's Jackson 5. And in my eyes, in my opinion, how I feel about both groups are the same. To me, they're both equally successful because look what happened. Like, New Edition is still touring to this day. Yeah, they were mismanaged financially and they had some internal struggles. But it's the same with the Jackson 5. People act like, oh, well, Joe Jackson whipped them boys into shape and none of them ever got in trouble. Well, let's break this down, guys. Because someone in the comment section, one of my videos said, well, look at Bobby Brown. That's the worst excuse you can use. Bobby Brown turned out to be fucked up. Ricky Bell had his issues with drugs. Okay, so you want to do this? Let's talk about the Jacksons. So Randy Jackson grew up to be abusive himself. Let's talk about the story about how he got shot by Tina Turner because she was protecting her friend who he was actively abusing. It wasn't the only time he was abusive towards someone. He was also abusive towards one of his ex-fiancées. Oh, let's talk about how his daughters, Latoya and Janet, both ended up in very controlling relationships early in their lives. To me, that is a result of two girls that grew up under a controlling and abusive father.
It was very, very hard. My father was very strict. He beat us.
Well, when you say he beat you, did he spank you, whip you? I mean, what
He
are you
had a belt, you say in the book. Belts, whips, whatever. My brothers were grown, and my father would take his fist and he would punch them and knock them down the steps constantly.
Would they provoke
to this
him?
day, no, of course not. To this day, they are still afraid of my father, and they will tell you. They come to me and they say, well, Toya, we have kids in college and we're afraid of my father still today. But my mother allowed this to go on, which makes it so bad. She didn't stop it.
She, too, was an abuse victim, wasn't she?
My mother, by my father, according to my brother, yes. According to Michael, he would tell me he would see my father beating my mother. I had never seen my father beat my mother.
Maybe they themselves didn't get in trouble, but they were in troubled relationships. You guys want to talk about Bobby Brown's drug issues? Well, let's talk about Michael Jackson, who was addicted to so many medications. He had severe body dysmorphia, severely depressed, severely paranoid, and insecure. You think that just all stemmed from him just being famous? Some of it, yes. When it comes to severe mental disorders, it stems from home. It stems from how you were treated as a child at home by your parents. How are we excusing this behavior by Joe?
It must have been a sign. He couldn't catch me, you know? And he knocked me down on the floor one time because we were rehearsing in our living room. I did something wrong. He knocked a mess out of me.
Now let's talk about the actions, because some people, for some reason, believe that Joe Jackson was just giving regular ass beatings with belts and with belts and switches. Do you guys know that Joe Jackson would actively beat his children savagely with anything he could find? He would punch his children, choke his children, knock them down the stairs.
One occasion you cite when you're getting out of the bathtub and he whacks you. How old were you then?
I was very young. I remember being younger than 8. Let me put it like that.
I mean, that's pretty bad.
Yeah. And I can't remember what it was that I did. I can't remember if I truly deserved it.
How do you guys feel about that? How do you feel about the fact that he went through extreme measures to discipline his children? Now me, like I said, I don't relate. I grew up with 2 parents, and I also grew up in a rough neighborhood. So don't try to play me with that bullshit like I'm from the suburbs. I grew up in St. Petersburg, Florida, South Side. It was not easy, especially for kids like me. I had a father who knew how to instill toughness. I had older cousins. I had friends around the block. So I didn't need to be abused by my father to learn how to be tough. My parents didn't have to beat me or my sisters to prove a fucking point. Yeah, me, as far as I can remember, I've only gotten 2 beatings, and one of them was probably warranted because I don't want to get into detail, but I did something pretty fucked up. To keep the story short, our mother's signature behavior slip, and I lied. So it was kind of like a double negative, and my dad was like, yeah, it's time, yeah. But other than that, my parents didn't have to lash out and beat me every fucking day because I did something they didn't like. You know what they did when I acted out of line or got bad grades? They would take something from me. Video games, outside privileges, TV privileges. They would bore me out of my fucking mind. My mom used to make me read the dictionary and made me pick a word to write 100 times and write it in a sentence over and over and over. One of the punishments I remember still to this day. But I didn't have to get a belt to my ass just to prove a point, because at the end of the day, what are you really learning about getting a belt to your ass? Because to me, a lot of kids, many of the kids in my neighborhood got belts to asses, and a lot of them turned out way worse than I did. So I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping, but I've never been to jail. But a lot of the kids in my neighborhood who got their asses beat are still in jail or have been in and out of jail. So what are we really talking about? And to me, when people say, oh, Joe Jackson, he had to do what he had to do, it was a different time. Well, what if we told you that the same thing that he did to his children, the things that he did to his kids, he did that to Catherine? Would y'all see that the same way? No, because you know why? At the end of the day, y'all don't protect the autonomy of children in their personal space. Because y'all don't see children as people at the end of the day. The people who excuse abusive behavior, and that's really the problem. Because if I told you that Joe Jackson punched and choked Catherine, then he would be a demon to y'all. But it's okay that he did it to his kids because it was all for the sake of becoming successful. You see how that makes sense?
So I recall him getting in the bed with us and doing the acts with her. And my mother would say sometimes, Joe, not tonight.
Your mother knew?
Oh, yes, my mother was very much aware of it. And then there were times when my sister couldn't take it anymore, and she would ask my mother to go get help for him, psychological help. And she refused to do that. And eventually my sister just decided that she wanted to leave home, that she could not deal with it anymore, so she left home.
You're talking about... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's my sister, Ruby.
Right.
And that's when he started sexually abusing me, when she left home.
Abuse is only abuse if you do it to another adult, but not a child? Let me roll another clip.
He hit me, I would hit her back, which was terrible. And I would run around the house and hide and all that stuff. But I would really get it more than anybody.
Do you think your father was too strict?
Yes. No, he's gonna kill me.
He's gonna get you still worried about that at your age? Well, he feels that he was strict.
I'm glad he said it. Now I'll say it, yes. Did he?
To douse your children in baby oil and whip them with a ironing cord while they were nude, that doesn't sound excessive?
The next day, and he knocked me down so hard I lost my wind, right? And I was just little. So I got up. I was so furious. You talk about me being conceited now. I got up and I was crying. And I said, Joseph, if you hit me again, I'm not performing. You're like, what the fuck did you say? And I said, if you hit me again.
You think it's normal for a father to have sex with groupies while your children were in a room or in another room over?
Joseph would be in another room, and he was a girl, and it was obvious they were having sex. No.
You don't think that would affect the child in some way? Like, what if, at the end of the day, I don't want to call people who are defending Joe Jackson stupid, but I want to call y'all misinformed. To say that, oh, it was a different time. He had to, make these kids tough in some way, shape, or form. There's so many ways that you can toughen a boy up without having to beat his ass. At Bio Series, we saw Joe forcibly pushing Ruby to the wall while shaking her at the same time, jutting her against the wall. That y'all think that's normal behavior? You think that's okay for a father to do to his children? That's what you guys are defending. The iterations of Joe Jackson we've seen on screen were all watered down versions. The stuff that those kids really endured is not fucking normal. You guys are excusing this because at the end of the day they became the most successful boy band of all time, which is fucking stupid because it was unnecessary. If you have Michael Jackson as your child, not Norris, but nurture your child's talent and not abuse him. See, the kids like Michael and Janet, they became successful in spite of Joe. Now, as I said in the video before, imagine if he actually nurtured the talents of all of those kids individually, what they could have been after Michael Jackson left the group. The Jacksons had no business faltering the way they did after Michael left the group, because those individual talents of all of those members, they could have became millionaires on their own. Jackie could have been a prolific songwriter. Tito and Jermaine, prolific songwriter producer duo. What do we talk? Randy, same thing, producer, songwriter. Like, we have too much talent in this family for nothing to happen after Michael leaves. Marlon could have been a successful choreographer or even an actor. I saw a clip of him acting not too long ago. He was pretty fucking good for his first real gig. But no, it wasn't nurtured because he constantly berated his children, Joe, into believing that they were never going to be good enough, especially in comparison to Michael. Even Tito's son admitted on Twitter a few months ago, I wish I could pull up those tweets, when someone asked, how come none of the members of the Jackson 5 become as successful or nearly as successful as solo acts? And the grandson said, imagine you growing up in your entire life, your dad telling you that you would never be good enough, and that you aren't good enough, and you would never be as good as Michael. Now, that's not motivation to me. To me, that's not motivation. What kind of parent does that? And we've seen so many success stories. Did Beyonce's father have to beat the shit out of her every single night to become successful? What about the Williams sisters, Serena and Venus? Did their father beat the shit out of them to become great athletes? Did LeBron's mother beat the shit out of him to become successful? What about Tiger Woods? There's so many. There's so many. Oh my God, there's so many. Like, what are we talking about? Like, there's no excuse for abuse at the end of the day. And to me, if you're excusing this and you know the information that is out there, then you are just a terrible person. To me, a shitty abusive parent in the 1960s is a shitty abusive parent in 2026. Don't try to tell me that it's a different time, different era, and it was necessary back then. Because once again, as I said, if the tables were turned and it was documented that Joe was doing those things to Catherine, y'all would be in an uproar. But because y'all don't respect children, and because you guys don't respect children, their autonomy, their personal space, and their right to be seen as people, y'all think it's okay to abuse children because y'all think the only way to teach a child is to beat a child, which is fucking stupid to me. So I rest my case on that. Y'all have a good one. I'll be back on vacation. I'm going back on vacation. Much love.